Hey out there, legal warriors. Can you travel if you have a criminal charge pending against you? That's a question that I get a lot here in my law firm. If you're interested in this area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm has been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington state for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get the help they need. I'm just going to jump right into it. What if you're charged with a crime in Washington state? Are you allowed to travel freely throughout the United States? Can you leave the country? Those are some questions that I get. And there's several factors we need to look at. Number one is we have to look at the conditions of release. Whenever we get arraigned on a criminal charge, and arraignment is a first court appearance where we say not guilty, and then the court makes us follow certain rules to stay out of jail while the case is going forward, and that's called a condition of release. So the first thing you need to look at, the first no-no would be if the condition of release said, stay in Washington state. Now, from my experience, there's a few counties that will typically order someone to stay in Washington state. One that pops into my head is Island County orders that quite a bit. But I want you to look at your conditions of release and see what it says. And if you're not sure and you can't find your conditions of release, you need to contact your attorney. I wouldn't necessarily contact the court and say, hey, could I leave the state? Because that sort of raises an issue. But if you don't have an attorney, you could contact a court on a charged case and say, hey, how do I get a copy of my conditions of release? Now, if it says you can't leave Washington state and you need to leave Washington state, what do we do? Well, your attorney or yourself, if you're not represented, you're going to need to file a motion with the court asking them to change the condition of release permanently. Hey, let me leave the state, or temporarily, I need to travel for work or this wedding or medical treatment or whatever reason it might be. Now, if you've only been arrested and you're not officially charged with the crime, then there should be no restriction on your ability to move freely throughout the country or throughout the world. So if you've been arrested and you're not charged, at least for that particular instance, you're probably allowed to leave. Again, always check with an attorney, but this is just general education about how things work. So let's say you look at the condition of release and it says, doesn't say anything about leaving. Well, can you leave the state? Well, you should be able to then. Can you leave the country? Well, if you're a citizen, of course, you're going to be able to travel freely between another country and our country. Each country gets to decide if they want to let you into their country. The U.S. is going to let you back if you're a citizen. Canada can be pretty tough to get into if you have a pending criminal charge. We usually tell people, hey, if you're going to go to Canada, be prepared to be turned around. It's fairly discretionary with each border agent. And if you're a non-citizen, you're going to have different issues. For a non-citizen, you're going to want to talk to someone, an immigration attorney, or at least your criminal attorney, to see what their experience is about someone's ability to get back into the United States if you're not a citizen of the United States. Now, in my 30 years of doing this practice, I've had at least one time, I've had a border agent calling me trying to vouch for a client of ours coming back into the country who is not a citizen. And in that situation, the client was carrying their court date with them. And also the border agent was suspicious and contacted us. Yes, they have a court date. Yes, we need them here. And they let them back in the country. Now, I'm not an immigration attorney, so it's important that you go ahead and talk to an immigration attorney if you're not a citizen. There's different issues. Obviously, there's not going to be an issue leaving the country. The question then is coming back into the country. So how would someone find out if you left Washington state when you weren't supposed to? Well, for the most part, you're not being tracked. Now, there are certain types of cases where a judge can order a GPS tracker on someone and know where you're at, but that is a little bit unusual. So if you leave Washington state, even though you're not supposed to, they're probably not going to find out about it, or you shouldn't do it. Okay, we already know you should get yourself allowed to do that, but they probably won't find out about it unless something happens out of state or someone who's against you tells the court about what happened. So, can you travel freely? Yes, unless you're not allowed to travel freely through a condition of release. Is there another issue about leaving the state? Let's say post-conviction. Actually, there could be. If you're convicted of a crime that's against a person, or a crime of violence or a second DUI offense, sometimes the Interstate Offender Compact can apply if you're put on probation for 12 months or more. And generally what that says is if you're going to be out of the state, typically for more than 45 days, that you're going to need to get approval to be gone that long from the state you're going to. Because if you're on probation here and you're missing from this state for a period of time, the law would say in some instances you need to apply to leave the state for more than 45 days. So that's a rare situation. You have to be convicted of a certain type of crime. You'd have to have a certain type of probation. But if you are going to be out of the state for more than 45 days after a criminal conviction, you might want to check with your attorney so you don't make a mistake and run afoul of the Interstate Offender Compact. It's just meant to help each state monitor people who are on probation to keep all of us safe. So I hope you found that helpful. Yes, for the most part, we can travel freely if we're charged with a crime. Conditions of release may say otherwise. Conditions of bail may say otherwise. If you're out on a bond, talk to your bonding agency. And if you do leave the state, probably no one's going to know about it but you, but we always want you to follow the rules, because if you violate a condition of release, you could get put back in jail, and that's not where you want to be. If you found this video useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get the help they need. And more importantly, if you have a criminal matter, feel free to reach out to my firm. We'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.